بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I thank Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I ask Him to raise the rank and the honor and the esteem and the status of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. Before we begin our reading, let me ask a few questions quickly that you can help me with. Together we share and we review. What are the three primary sciences of Islam that all of us must learn and implement inwardly and outwardly? What are the three primary sciences that all of us must learn? And they represent the first three in our 3453 code. This is my check-in. Can everyone who's available to type put up those three main sciences? The sciences, as we mentioned them as a science. So Fatima, you're correct, but what sciences do those three aspects represent? Like Abdullah ibn Islam put, yes. So I just want the sciences, inshallah. Is that everyone? That's all? Why you don't type? Everyone is driving? In reviewing, there's a benefit. So the first of those sciences that in priority that we must learn is what? The first priority in those three sciences, what is the first one that we must learn? MashaAllah. Aqidah. In Aqidah, what methodology does Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah follow to acquire the knowledge of Al-Aqidah? If we want to learn this science, what methodology do we take? And I'm using certain words to make sure your mind is working so you can grab. I understand from the wording. If you can answer properly, I know you understand. If you go all over the place, I know you didn't understand. Mm, good. David and Nisa, uh, Sister Haja Stacy, Fatima, Arakia, Abdullah bin Islam, MashaAllah, Isla, Taib, Khadija, MashaAllah. Khadija, T. Talmage, just add Al Maturidi as well. Kimberly, good. Good, MashaAllah. Why did we say Al Asha'ira and Maturidiyya and we stopped? Why? There's a reason why I'm asking these questions. What is the question? Why you keep coming to class late? You should be on already before it starts. You know we start no later than 7:10. MashaAllah. So the first question, Khadija, my beloved elder, was what are the three primary sciences in Islam that we must learn? They said Aqidah, Fiqh, and Tasawwuf. Uh, and then we said in Aqidah, what methodology we follow. They said Ash'ari and Maturidi. That's where we're at. And then the third question is, why do we say Ash'ari and Maturidi and stop there when we talk about Aqidah? Us. Okay, good. MashaAllah. So, two things. One is what Sister Isla said. Um, we stopped at Al Asha'ira and Maturidiyya in learning Aqidah because there is an unbroken chains of narration in their teaching back to the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the main reason. This unbroken chain till our day, right? That is within the Asha'ira and Maturidiyya, we don't have any doubt in that. As for other methodologies, they may contain truth and also the possibility of perversion. Not to say that they cannot be correct in many issues, probably in most of the issues, but because of the possibility of or the probability that perversion has seeped into their methodology, we don't say that they're not having the correct creed, but we go on the route of safety, which in the Asha'ira or Maturidiyya, we have unbroken chains, generation to generation, historically, globally. We know that this methodology has been preserved. Even the differences among the Ash'aris and the Maturidis in their approaches have been preserved. So therefore, there's a general consensus among the Muslims, scholars and laymen, of the soundness of these methodologies. Everyone follow that? So you mean the three sciences there are there? Al-Aqidah, Al-Fiqh, and At-Tasawwuf. So in Aqidah, so that somebody asked me that. In Aqidah, so these are the signs. In Aqidah is our belief. We are al-Ash'ariyah and al-Maturidiyah. The heck? Oh no. Right. Um, those two schools, al-Ash'ariyah and al-Maturidiyah, are named after two great imams. Who are they? Who lived at the end of the time of as-Salaf. Who are those two great imams? Al-Ash'ariyah and the Maturidiyah, those two schools, methodologies, are named after two great imams who lived at the end of the time of as-Salaf. Who are they? I'm going to share something with you that is obvious, probably, but we didn't pay attention to after you answer. So, Fatima, you just said Imam Ash'ari. What's his name? What's his kunya? So you said Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. That's his kunya. What is the kunya for Imam al-Ash'ari? Come on, easy. So Isla just put an L after Abu, Abul Hassan, and then put it back up. Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari, and put an apostrophe between the H and the A. Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari. One S, no need for two, Fatima. Good. Did we get it right yet? Right. Could everyone copy that? Imam Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari, who died 324 after Hijrah, and Imam Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, who died 333 after Hijrah. Can we all copy that so we make sure we have it? This is so important because, as you can see, we've heard it, but we're not articulating it quicker and fast enough, right? Without, we're humans, we make some mistakes. But this needs to be sound in us, and I'm going to tell you why after you all copy that and put that up. It's extremely important. Allah, la ilaha illallah. Okay, good. Do you know in our communities, and in America specifically, this methodology has not been preserved for us, among us? For over 100 years of Islam being in our communities, this methodology, which is the methodology of the vast body of Muslims presently and historically for over 1100 years, back to the time of Imam al-Ash'ari and Imam al-Maturidi, is not preserved among our communities. And we're just learning how to spell the names, how to mention them, let alone learn the information or the knowledge of the creed that they conveyed. It is upon us to change that situation. I want you to listen to what I just said. Islam in our communities, in our country, has been known over 100 years. And this methodology in Aqidah of Al-Ash'ari and Maturidiyah, which is the methodology of the vast body of Muslims presently today and in every generation for over 1100 years, back to the great Imams Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari and Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, with an unbroken chain, with relied upon books and continuous scholars. And we are just in our time beginning to know about them, let alone understand the contents of the creed. Do y'all realize that? What I just mentioned, do we realize that that's a reality? Do you realize that? That means that we are, us collectively, are responsible for reviving our Islamic tradition in our society. This is a serious work. It's not something that we can just bypass, because it's been bypassed for over 100 years. And here we are, still at the beginning level of learning what the rest of the Muslim world have known for 1,200 years. We have to fix this issue. So we have to do the work. It's not someone else. You cannot say someone else is going to do it. No, you have to do it. Because we've had predecessors who've done some things, and we don't deny that. But some major aspects of the deen, especially the basic foundations, have not been preserved among us. This is important. It's not a matter that we can just overlook. And what we can't do, and I'm realizing that this is a mistake, and I'll tell you the mistake, and I've made it. And I think many of us teachers have made this mistake. We've been busy refuting the bad idea, the bad concepts, the bad or deviant groups, while not putting the same energy in educating us what we need to know to preserve our tradition. So what we have is a bunch of people who can speak about others but know nothing about themselves. Do you follow my point? We've developed people who can speak about others that are wrong and mistaken, but don't understand the truth of their own matters that they need to know. And we have to be careful with that. Extremely careful. We cannot just say, I'm on the truth, and we don't know the truth. And we say that is falsehood. We know all the things how to refute falsehood, but we don't understand the truth. That doesn't work. Do y'all understand my point? So it's important that we stay focused on actually learning, because we see what has happened to us and we can't let that continue. You know, there's always a background why I be saying the stuff I be saying, right? Because I'm engaged in this every day, all my life. And I realize more and more that we're not being treated fair. And I don't think we realize it enough to do something about it. I said we're not being treated fair. And I don't think we realize how unfair we're treated in order that we do something about it, because we actually think we're on par and we're being had. And it's going to be another 100 years if we don't wake up before we realize we've been had again. And I don't think that's wise. So please, 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 let us really study. Let us get this information. Let us preserve this information. And I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to need your help. I'm going to work hard. It's very difficult, but I'm going to give it all I got, inshallah ta'ala, to bring Sunni teachers that are, to the best of their ability, trying to follow the proper methodology of learning according to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Don't say we're going to see eye to eye on every point. That's, human beings don't do that anyway. But in general, we all understand the basic methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And I need you. I've noticed something. All of you, please listen. You are an integral aspect of this work. Without you sticking together, learning together, cooperating, we cannot do the job. Because of you, we're able to reach others. Do y'all know why? I said, because of you, we're able to teach this knowledge to others. Because of you. Do you know why I said that? I'm sorry, reader. I know I'm in my scattered thoughts, but this is calculated. This is not scattered. This has a purpose. We share, financially support your efforts. That's one aspect. Very important. Very important. But even deeper than that, even more than that. That's true, right? But more than that. So you don't have to put that again. That's understood. We do share. We could do more in the sharing department. And we financially support efforts. That's good. What is more than that? Even more important than that for us and our society. And it relates to sharing. Come on, think about it. Your role. What is your role yourself that is so important in us being able to do this work? And it's something related to this, but it has another effect to it. It's related to that point, unity. And it's something about us as a people in general, and even Americans, it's something we love to do. And if without you, we wouldn't spark that thing. She says, come on, Imam, just tell us. It's related to that. Yes, it's related to this too. It's right there. I'm giving you hints. We all the same, so we know it. You know what happened? I'll share because you're not grabbing it. But this, if you think about it, when I say it, you're gonna say, "Bango!" It's all related around this. Y'all right on the. Yeah, that's it. You're getting hot. You're getting warmer. But what about numbers and unity that relates to us as people? What does that do for us? What does it do for us as a people and Americans too? That's our habit. When there's a lot of numbers, besides the unity part, what does, when people see a bunch of numbers doing something, what do they usually do? Bingo. When they see unity, numbers, strength, support, they follow, they join in, they buy in. That is a role you play. When they see these numbers, they say, oh, Sweat, what's going on over there? Don't you notice, even the kids, when they see a fight, they see crowds gathering, instead of going away, they run to the crowd? Don't you notice people do that? That's how you get crowds and mobs, even for bad things. The fact that we've stuck together for so long, we're consistent, we grow, it brings others to pay attention. We can't do that. You have to do that. And I'm telling you, it works. It works. Even if you were spreading falsehood, it would work. Doesn't matter. The nature of us is that we like to join when we see success. There you go, right? Right, wrong, or different, doesn't matter. If if something is trending, something is uh, bringing people, is sharing, it's being liked, the nature of people is they're going to go after it. Now, the question is, what are we making trendy? What are we sharing? What are these numbers about? If these is about spreading the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah to the best of our ability, we've done a great job because we fixed over 100 years of a missing link in our deen. Y'all follow me? We fixed over 100 years of missing link in our religion. And that's a great reward, just that. And I'll give you an example and then we'll move on quickly so we can read. I remember when I first came back to Atlantic City, this was like 23 years ago. And there was no such thing in general as Asharis and Maturidis. There were Asharis and Maturidis here. They just couldn't define it. They didn't know anything about it. They were just like following, but they didn't know. So they didn't even mention or teach or do any of that, right? So when we began to teach, it was a heavily influenced Wahhabi environment. Like, and that was at the, kind of the height of their dawah. Now it's dying down, but in those days, the end of the 90s and the 2000s, the beginning, they was on fire, right? And that's always around. And I remember we used to teach in houses, like from house to house to house. We didn't have a masjid to go to anything because our masjid now, Masjid Muhammad, was not where we're at today. And those people had infiltrated even the masjid. So our teachers told us, don't cause fitna, just go teach. Don't go and argue and don't do that. Just go teach the people. So we would go from house to house to house. We would be in my house, in my backyard. Some couple people learn. Then we go to their house. Then we go to this neighborhood, community center, and just spreading and spreading and spreading, right? And after about, let's say, 6 or 7 years of that, the person that was the imam before me was studying with one of my teachers. I didn't know that. And when he would come to America to visit, they would have private lessons in houses. And the imam of our masjid used to go to those private classes. So one day I saw my teacher and he said, aren't you from Atlantic City? Because he didn't know we weren't in Atlantic City. I said, yes. He said, do you know such and such and such? I said, yes, I know him all my life. He said, go teach him. Go work with him. I said, I don't know, Sheikh. I don't think he said he comes to me every time I'm here, I'm studying, but I don't come enough. Could you go help him? And then I met with him. We talked. I knew him already, but I didn't know he was learning. And he allowed me to teach in the masjid. And from that day, which was about 16 years ago, we spread. Once we got the masjid in teaching, now you got Jumu'ah, you got people, and we were explicit in explaining. Now, in our area, even though we are still outnumbered, we are the prominent voice of Islam in this area. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ash'ari, Maturidi, following schools, Tasawwuf is the standard for Atlantic City. Whenever you go to talk about Islam, we're going to be the first thing you see. Whether it's in the political realm, the social realm, the community realm, Masjid Muhammad is going to be first. If they're going to have any gathering about Islam, we're going to be the ones that's represented. That's how we have to work in every community. It's a roadmap. From here, we establish, and now we can do through this all over the world, all over the country. So that now so many people will know Al-Asha'ira, Maturidiyya, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Tasawwuf. That's how you start. But this is a 23-year work. Canceling out the years of study. We just talking about the active work on the ground was 23 years to be where we at today. But it started in houses, in backyards. I remember in my home having classes, bringing our teachers, and people up and down my steps, all over the place in my house, in the kitchen. I remember those days. Community centers. I remember, I never will forget those days. Right? So we have to do the same thing. I'm telling you that because to give you a roadmap. And don't cancel the work of our people who were before us, because actually that work, by the wisdom of Allah, sets up for the time when you come so that you can have extra support and a base. Don't forget that. I don't think without the work of our predecessors before us, even though they didn't have everything right, they were building and building and building to that day. And even though we don't got everything right, we're building and building and building to the next generation. Now we have graduates from Al-Azhar. We have people that studied all over the world. We're still growing. We got people in Yemen. And eventually they're going to come back. Those students that are out now, they're eventually going to come back. And probably we're going to run out of gas by then. And then that next generation is going to take it to another level. You follow my point? I just want you to see both ways. And we're just doing the work, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really is the one who's arranging the affairs, even the ones we don't see, even the wisdom, but we have to do that part. Each and every one of us have to plant the seed for the succeeding generation, And we have to have that kind of vision. We have to see 100 years from now what it's going to look like. And what are we doing today to make sure it looks like that? I remember this was about 16 years ago. And I'm sorry to take up all the time, but I'm not, because this is important. So I'm not really sorry. I'm sorry for not going directly to the class, but these things are so important that we understand. And if we understand these things, the class becomes much more interesting and easy, and it has significance. I remember about 16 years ago, Imam Khairi Shukur rahimahullah, let us recite Al-Fatiha for our Imam. So Al-Fatiha. We were in the masjid like 16 years ago, I think, at least 16 years ago. And our masjid used to look so gloomy. It had paneling, big, long wooden tables, hard seats, dirty rug. It was a mess. Bathrooms, this was like stalls. It was just a mess, right? In looks, it was just like depressing. You walk in the building. It used to be a blind center. So maybe that's why they had it. Like, blind people can't see, so it doesn't, right? But it was just like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And I remember him saying to me, we were sitting by the kitchen. I never forget this. He said to me, we want to make this one of the centers of Islam in the country. There's going to be learning, Arabic spoken, books taught. This was he was talking. And at that time, man, there wasn't even 5 people coming to the masjid at all, right? just on Jumu'ah. That hasn't changed much, and no real events of learning, partying, fashion shows, but learning, no. And he said that to me, and I remember looking at him like, he's tripping. I don't know what he's talking about. And then when I look, and he lived to see some of it, well, alhamdulillah. The first time Sheikh Samir came to America was at Masjid Muhammad as a teaching. And he was there. And we did a nice educational program. The first thing we taught was Al-Aqidah At-Tahawiyah. And he was there. We gave out certificates and everything, right? Alhamdulillah. So he did get to see the beginning of where we're at today. Well, alhamdulillah. But exactly as he said it, we're now, this is our 5th African American Islamic Summit. And that was his vision. At that time, I didn't see it. My vision was too narrow. I was just trying to get people to learn some basic things. He had already saw down the road what this thing would look like if we worked. And many things happen from Allah's side to develop it. Hurricane Sandy came, which wiped that masjid out as it was. From end to end, we had to repair it, fix it, change it, which got it to where we reached today. So all that dark and gloomy look was replaced completely. But also, because of that, we had to go out in fundraising. And fundraising had us teach, because that was the exchange. You help us, I'll come and teach. So we were able to spread around the state and around the country and boost people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wise in the way he does things. So each and every one of us realize that we have a role in all of this. None of us are independent. All of us are connected in this work. I'm just giving you a map so you can see your role and where you can do the same thing. Collectively, we have a lot of abilities, right? And some of the things we have coming, inshallah, if Allah give us life. But if we should pass, we want to give you a roadmap that you continue, right? If we don't make the journey, at least you know what to do to continue the work. Because we have to make this the sound methodology around the country and connect with the rest of the world. We have to do that work. So I just wanted to, it took me longer. Yes, you're right, Stacy. You're correct. It's all a part of it. But listen, the biggest part of it is that we, the 3453 family, and I think we're going to make this more official. Spell mistake, sorry. I think it is time to do that, to formulate this 3453 family more formal. I don't like groups. I don't. Because sometimes we get in a group and we forget the point. So I'm not a fan of organizations. I've never been. I believe we do our own thing as our organizations, but we cooperate with one another and we never compete. That's what I personally like. You be whoever you are, like Masjid, the Islamic Center of Cuba with Imam Fahim, and Masjid Mu'min with y'all do your stuff, but we always cooperate. We work together as a family. But you have your own masjid, your own rules, your own, do your thing. But we together always cooperate. I prefer that model instead of, one big organization and one big guy and everybody have their independence, but we work together collectively to help each other with our needs. That's what I prefer. But we can also come together with one common understanding, and that works, right? So if you look at your family, there's a big family. And when you have a family reunion, you got many branches. But each family, individual family unit, has their own home and their own stuff. But the family always comes together to work together to help each other. We need that concept in the Black Muslim community. And then that needs to be joined with the other communities after we get ourselves together. Or even simultaneously while not losing focus on our own individual struggles. Y'all follow me? The Snowbird Bridge. Do you follow my point? And if we're all on the same page, we become one big family, even though we have individual family units. It's fine. And we've kind of mastered that model almost, at least the Black imams in our roundtable. We support, we it's amazing that we've made it this long. I thought Imam Fahim was going to bin run. I'm joking. I didn't know he was going to last this long. I'm messing with you, Imam. Right? But that's a brotherhood I wouldn't sacrifice for my life. Seriously. Like, subhanAllah. And I want to add to that because we've done this before and we still close, but we don't work like we should. Do y'all remember we had Al Ummah and we had 5 masjids? We're still close as friends and brothers as imams, but we're not cooperating regularly. And we were doing good, but it's hard because every individual is struggling. But we have to see, hey, our individual struggle can be solved in our collective cooperation. Can we put that? Our individual struggle can be solved in our collective cooperation. Can we put that up? Somebody who's fast typer. Our individual struggle can be solved in our collective cooperation. Can we put that up? Right. Can everybody copy that? That should be a concept for our 3453 family. That's a concept we all have. Our individual struggles can be solved in our collective cooperation. And Nisa, can I give you an example? Can I use you as an example if you don't mind? If you don't mind. You can say no because you don't know what I'm going to say. But I want to use you for example. So Sister Anissa lives in Pennsylvania somewhere, I don't know, way out there, not like Philly, way out there somewhere. I forget the name of the city. But she's by herself. There's no Sunni community in her area, not many African American Muslims, right? Especially Ahl Sunnah. So she out there with her family by herself. But because of her connection with the 3453 family, she has relationships with Imam Fahim's community in Camden, Imam Naeem's community in Pittsburgh, with our community in Atlantic City. So whenever she had a need, like her father, rahimahullah, let us recite Al-Fatiha for her father, inshallah, Al-Fatiha. So when her father passed, and she needed to get the janaza, get things done, she was easily able to tap into that family that are in different places that came together collectively to make sure that her father was taken care of and assisting in whatever she need. And that is what we could do all around the country. So she didn't have to be alone because she got a family. Even though we didn't live there, at her time of need, we all came as a family. You see my point? So she had an individual thing she had to deal with, but because of our collective cooperation, it facilitated ease for her. Sister Fahima in New York, and those sisters, Sister Sabra and Selena, and I hate naming names because I'll get in trouble, but you know, my whole Elder New York crew, all of you, right? When she had her family individual struggle, she was able to tap into the family, and we rushed to New York to help her. And others as well. I'm just giving you the examples of how it works. We have to be a support for one. We have to be sincere about it. Sister Fatima, all the way in Canada, when she wanted to come to join us, she's an elderly sister. No, she's a young elder. Her husband's a young elder. When they wanted to come, we came to do everything we could do to help them, to make it easy, to travel with them, to go out our way, to make sure they're comfortable. And she's not an African American, neither is he. But you notice she doesn't change because she felt that same family. We're Muslim. So she felt among us probably what she never expected, nor probably felt among others. And that's why she's still here, right? And after that, she always found a family and start her own program and doing her own thing, and everyone sticking together and finding like natures. This is so important. We need it. Right? And we need to provide that with learning our religion and understand that ultimately the reason we're like this, because we want to be excellent servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I need you for us to continue to spread and do the work. Without you, it's almost impossible. You have a very important role because we come as a family. Now, whoever comes, they're going to have that spirit of the family we've already established. And then it builds and builds and builds to one day it's the standard across the country. And you have to be open enough to embrace some slight differences. They're going to happen. We're humans. But you have to have enough love in your heart for each other that those differences can be negotiated, can be worked out, can be solved, even over time, while we work towards that collective goal under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need to do this. It's important. It's so, so important. Please, 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 just get this in our mind. Like, if I could die doing that, I would be happy. But really, whenever it happened, it doesn't matter. I'm happy what we've done so far. But whatever life I got left, I would like to see this increase till it becomes the standard. But I believe the underlining thing that we need is to have firm knowledge, and then we'll build. We'll build in the other things. We'll build in education. We'll build in community. We'll build in economics, financial. We'll do all that. As we come together, begin to love one another, begin to trust one another, share our resources. intellectual, financial, emotional, whatever we got going on, right? We can do it. And the thing is just to stay steadfast and consistent. We're going to crash. We're going to have fights. We're going to have disagreements. Where some people are going to leave, some people are going to break off. That's just life. But the core of us must stay focused. Right? The core of us must stay focused. If that core remains focused, which is this 3-4-5-3 family, we're going to be successful. And I gave you this long journey so that you can put yourself in it and see down the road. Right? And this summit, and I'll close with this, is extremely an important one. It's growing. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're going to learn a lot at this summit because we're bringing together generations throughout the country to get this work done. Oh, did I take it down? Why are you messing with stuff, sister? Could you keep your... Right? Oh, okay. There's an updated flyer. Hey, y'all ever saw the Wizard of Oz? What was that guy in the back? That's Oz, right? Messing with stuff from the back. We got our own Wizard of Oz. So that's the updated flyer. Could we all make dua and Fatiha for my wife, Leslie? You know, she's in the back. Y'all don't know she's back. But all this stuff is her little quiet self in the back doing her work. And she does it every day. And, you know, no one really knows that she's back there, right? But she's working behind the scenes. For everything we seen, she's back there working. All this stuff you get every day is her behind there doing it all. You know, so she's doing great work for this family. And, you know, at the same time raising the next generation of teachers. Those two little Alawi and Aida who's driving her crazy while she's still doing the work. While I'm out doing that, she's making sure those babies are raised properly and ready to take the baton when it's passed to them to carry the torch. So, you know, may Allah reward her immensely. And even though she's not heard, she's not seen, she's always present. And that's about all the flowers you're getting, woman. Right? Oh, Lord. So that's the new flyer. And you'll notice, updated flyer, it has that QR code. And these flyers will be printed. So we're going to give them to some of y'all in your areas so you can spread them. We also added another speaker, Sister Noordine Knight. May Allah preserve her. She's back from her studies abroad, and she will be presenting at the summit as well. And Sister Noordine Knight, let me show you how this works. She's her own independent sheikh now, doing her thing. She's the wife of Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik, the one who did the recitation at the funeral of Muhammad Ali. That's her husband, Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik. And he's my partner, my buddy, mashallah. They are married. And she started with us in New York when I used to teach at Mecca Center in New York. That's where she started with us. And she was a young aspiring student, mashallah, and she learned. And she was the one running all of my things. And she made a team with my wife Leslie and another sister Samira, and they were the ones who were the foundational people behind the first African American Islamic Summit. She was the one that put all of this together with her young college mind. She was at Columbia University at that time. And she was like, Imam, we could do this, we could do this. And I had an idea, but she had all the technical stuff to put it together. And she put that team together. So a lot of work went into this. So even though they thought it was Imam Amin in front, it was all those women doing all this stuff. I was just the face. It was all women putting all this stuff together. And they should, so you could see what can be, they're not known, but they were the ones who were organizing all of this stuff as students, just learning. And then they took it and they go and moved forward. This platform you was on was something she came up with originally. Because I wasn't an internet guy. I wasn't thinking about none of that stuff. And we just branched off from it. So all of them play a role. And they were women. They were all young in their 20s, students, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. They were all of them, I think they were all under 25. Except maybe one or two. They was like in it young. And they were workers. So, mashallah. So don't think we should take all credit. It takes a lot. It takes a family to do this work. So they'll all be there, inshallah, and doing their part. And now she went abroad to study, and we're working, we're building, you know? So let us now play our role, all of us, inshallah ta'ala. All right, I'm sorry for not having the actual fasting class, but it's something that happened, and we have big things coming. I know I'm not gonna let the cat out the bag, but we have some huge things coming up over the next few months. After this summit, I think we're gonna go to a whole nother level. We are doing some serious planning for some major events and major cooperative efforts. So we need our family tight, because you're going to give us the strength to negotiate. You're doing it and you don't realize it, because you can't negotiate except from a position of strength. When we negotiate from a position of strength, we'll get much more done. So we have to stay together, continue our work, so we keep strong. And from that position of strength, we can negotiate for a better community. But if you're not strong, no one's going to pay you no attention. But once you're strong, you're steadfast, you're stable. When you come to the negotiation table, you come from a point of strength, not a point of weakness with your hand out. You actually have something to give. One of my teachers, Sheikh Imaduddin Abu Hijla, rahimahullah ta'ala, let's recite Al-Fatiha for him. He died during Corona in Turkey. Sheikh Imaduddin Abu Hijla. Al-Fatiha. There are so many who play important roles. They have passed to make all this stuff possible. And he was one of them, Sheikh Imaduddin. He used to travel to us from Yemen 2 times, 3 times a year from Tarim, Yemen, to educate us and support and share and work hand in hand with me for years, which was a big boost, rahimahullah ta'ala. But he used to say to me this all the time. He said, I always come with my hand on the top, not on the bottom. That's what it is. My hand is always on the top, not on the bottom. Imam Amin, I'm telling you here. La ilaha illallah, no Mickey Mouse stuff. My hand is on the top, never on the bottom. That's how I talk. So it's just so funny. Heavy, thick accent. And we have to be people with our hands on top, not on the bottom. If we have our hands on the top when we come to the negotiating table, we get more done. That's why the support is important, the financial support, so we don't have our hand out like this on the bottom. We actually come with our hand on the top. And that way, we're more effective. We're the ones giving, not the ones receiving. As a family, as a group, when we come, we have things to offer. We're not just saying, what can you give us? We actually are giving. And a lot of people, they look at the African-American community, Muslim communities, as we have nothing to give. We have to reverse that. We actually have something to give. And working with us is to your benefit. It's a mutual exchange of resources, whatever they may be. But we have to strengthen ourselves so that our resources are manifest to the one who's going to negotiate with us. Y'all follow me? Is this clear? And I'll stop. Is it clear, my point to everyone? We all got it? Clear, clear, clear. There's a delay. I keep forgetting. There's like a 20-second delay. And each and every one of you are important in this. You have a role. You're in a movement. And inshallah, I'll keep doing my part. And you keep doing your part. And you'll see it yourself. But make sure you support these efforts. We really need you there. But if you cannot be there, buy a ticket for someone else to be in your place. There is, when you go to the link, there is a space where you could just buy a ticket for someone else. That's separate. We don't know. When it comes to us, we know if there's an individual or it's just as an extra ticket for people who can't afford it. So you can help either way. We want you there. That's the biggest help you can do. But maybe you're not in a position to make it. So you can support by buying a ticket. You can make the general donation so that we can bring more people. It don't have to be just a ticket. You can say more than one ticket. You can just say, here's a flat donation to help with it. But the success of this is going to be a great indicator for those who want to partner with us, how powerful we can be. So we have to make this a success. It's important. Trust me. And you're going to benefit from the outcome. We're doing it. You know how hard it is to bring all of us together? That's not an easy task. It's not easy. Really, it's not. I'm telling you. Don't take it for granted. Getting all of us together from all these are all leaders in their own right. They all are leaders in their own right. That is a difficult thing, to get all of us on one page, working together for a common goal. That's not easy. It takes a lot of negotiating, but we do it. So we're doing it for the sake of Allah, but also for the benefit of our community. So our community needs to come through, right? All right. I'm sorry. Tomorrow we'll pick up. So if those who just came for the class and not my unexpected scattered thoughts, please pardon me. But I'm trying to do multiple things with little bit of time. We only have 1 hour, max an hour and a half, and we have 5 hours of stuff we need to get to you. So we have to, inshallah. So inshallah, barakallahu bikum. Tonight, Sheikh Walid Rifai will come on at 7 o'clock and continue his class, inshallah. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking around and hearing me out and giving me your support, your ear, your heart, your body. May Allah reward all of you. You are truly a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have your teamwork and to have you as a part of this family. May Allah accept, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Barakallahu bikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.